Nominated for Best Community College Radio Station 2014 by the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System.
Everything you want to hear from the voice of Cerritos College. WPMD on the nets, where people make a difference.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Falcon Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob GF, and this time I'd like my guest to please introduce himself.
Good morning, Falcons. This is Gilbert Contreras. I am the Dean of Student Services here at Cerritos College.
Excellent. Now, our semester has gone by so quickly. We already have this next week, and then that's it. But I know some people, they can stress out, especially when it comes to major exams, midterms, and finals. I was wondering, how did you deal with, those kind of situations?
Well, for students, this time of the year could be very stressful. Getting close to finals, writing those papers, the last projects for classes, the deadlines are rapidly approaching. So for me as a student, some of the things I tried to do was to keep balance in my life. So if you like to exercise, continue to exercise, make it part of your daily routine. Definitely stay hydrated, drink a lot of water. It's hot out there right now. Make sure you're hydrating up, make sure you're eating a balanced diet, and getting rest. I know students like to, at times, pull those all-nighters, go 2-3 days in a row, but that's not healthy for you. For me, I do my best studying in the morning, especially as a student, and now even, as an employee for Cerritos College. I like to get here early. My brain is fresh, it's new, it's active. So for me, I would try to stop studying at 1 or 2 in the morning and getting at least 4 hours of sleep and waking up kind of early to hit it when my brain was fresh. So you got to find out what works for you. And if you're a late person, you're a night owl, you like to stay up, and you're able to function and work very well late at night, do your studying then. But make sure you get rest. Make sure you get plenty of rest and you take care of it. And for me, what was successful is studying with people in my class. Whether it's a social science class or a STEM class, science, technology, engineering, math, where you have problem sets. If there's a way you can bounce ideas off some of your classmates, finding study groups. For me, I said jokingly off the air, I had a really smart friend that was in most of my classes because we were in a similar major. And I'd like to study with him and bounce ideas off of him and, even jokingly say, teach me everything that you know, because a lot of the learning happens not only from your instructors, not only from the textbooks, but especially from your peers and your classmates. So, find people to study with in study groups. So that was really helpful for me, especially as I got closer to my major and studying what I wanted to study, which in my field is city planning.
And tell us, what is city planning?
Well, city planning is a study of cities, but that's a really general way of looking at it. Anything that has to do with the social, economic, political, quality of life in areas. Former UN secretaries were city planners. There's a whole field of professors that go into city planning. And for me, my interest really stemmed in looking for solutions for youth development, trying to find ways in which, municipal governments could provide programming and services to help young people choose, positive options, getting recreation centers, getting facilities, getting parks. But when you think of city planning, most people think about, land use planning, or there's games out there like Sim City, where to put the park, where to put the mall, where to locate the railroad tracks, where to put the dump, how to have more sustainable cities. For me, it's really finding a way to provide quality living environments for the community and involving the community in the decision making and creating processes and creating structures that help people enjoy a quality of life that we all work towards achieving. So for me, working at Cerritos College, it's really important to remember Cerritos College as a community institution. It's an institution that's part of the community, that invests in the community by educating the people from our surrounding neighborhood and providing local businesses with quality workers so that when they get out there, they do a great job and get out there and get good jobs and are able to afford a house and access to the American dream. And in the end, it comes back to us because they get a higher paying job and they're able to pay a little bit more taxes, and through that tax structure, we're funding public education, police services, and all the other things that are necessary for a quality public.
And what got you interested in the major?
I was interested in the major when I lived in the dorms my freshman year at UC Berkeley. I was just retiring from the baseball team. I say retiring, but it's more like I quit the baseball team, jokingly. But I didn't have time. I was out there at practice thinking about what else could I be doing. What classes am I giving up because I'm out here playing a sport. It's very difficult. So shout out to all our athletes here at Cerritos College. A wonderful season shared by Dan Klaus and Dan Smith. Wonderful year of success that we had at Cerritos College. We're among the top in the state, and our spring sports are just winding up the playoff run that they had. A very successful year. But back to your question, which was
what got you interested in your major?
I was interested in my major, or in city planning, because we had a guest lecture series. There was a professor at UC Berkeley that came to talk about city planning, and at that point, I was very interested in what he had to say, and it was more so how he presented it. He was coming to our little class or seminar we had to learn about different careers, and in addition to talking about city planning, he shared with us and taught us about the Aztec calendar. Kind of strange, you wouldn't associate the two, but he was trying to make the point, and this is more than 20-something years ago, so I'm kind of aging myself or dating myself. But he shared, the importance of the Aztec calendar, and also talked about his role as a city planner at that time, which was a professor. Later on, it turned into be one of the healthiest professional relationships that I had. He served as my advisor for the McNair Scholars Program, which is part of the TRIO programs, and one of the programs that helps underrepresented students do well in higher ed. And later became the chair of my dissertation committee at UCLA. So still one of my mentors, one of my friends and colleagues now, but definitely someone that changed my life by exposing me to the potential that's out there. For me, growing up in Norwalk, when I landed in college, I felt like I landed on a different planet. The culture shock that I experienced, especially as a Chicano from Norwalk, going to UC Berkeley, where diversity was a little scarce at the time, where I'm used to being 60-70% Latinos in your class, going to UC Berkeley where you're maybe 12%, you really felt like a minority for the first time. And it's really important that there's people there like mentors and professionals that reach down and help teach you about the resources that are there. And I know we have some students headed to UC Berkeley, and I've spoken with a few of them about the resources that are available there for them, as well as the other schools that are out there, and really hope they take advantage of these programs and services that are there to assist them in reaching their career objectives. So for me, was a professor that came to a seminar that met once a week for 1 hour, and really connected with him. There was a lot of other seminars and people that came to talk in that series about different careers in education and healthcare, in political science and history, but it was this one professor that you would never know that what he said really resonated with me and created that bond and that desire to want to pursue something and to know to learn more about what my role is in this world, and eventually learn more about myself and who I am and what I can contribute. And I think that really comes with me here at Cerritos College, and one of the things I want to work towards in helping students discover is who you are and what your role is in this world.
Cool. Now, I know that students will sometimes worry about, how to finance their education and so forth. You made it up to your doctorate, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, did you have to go through scholarships? How did you go about it?
Absolutely. I mean, funding higher education is one of the biggest challenges for students, especially students at Cerritos College and in our community. When I was at UC Berkeley, definitely a product of financial aid, product of the Cal grant, the Pell grant, and hard work, applying for scholarships, applying for those merit-based scholarships, those need-based scholarships, talking to counselors. I've only been here a short time, 6 weeks, but I have met some amazing counselors that are very dedicated, that are working in the counseling center, and the dean over in that area doing a really wonderful job, sharing the story and the importance of counseling to students. But for me, my journey has been one of work. At UC Berkeley, I had to work 2 jobs. I got a job as a resident assistant in housing and dining, and learned a lot about student life, and served as an RA for 2 years and eventually as a hall coordinator. In addition to that, I worked at a nonprofit, trying to teach students in the local high schools about higher education, about how they can come to UC Berkeley. And in particular, I taught classes in ethnic studies and Chicano studies and multicultural education, and worked with the continuation school students and the local students at Berkeley High School to teach them that there are people like them at the campus, and they can achieve that. So that was a really interesting job because I was paid to do something that was closely in line with what I wanted to do. And if there's one thing I can encourage all students to do, is to find internships or job opportunities that allow them to be strategic in their career. When you look at your resume, what were you doing? Were you just throwing rocks in the lake, or were you doing positions that helped inform what you want to become? So you learn more about yourself. So back to how I paid for college, at UC Berkeley, I was very fortunate. I walked on the baseball team, so I didn't have an athletic scholarship. I supplemented my education by working. I worked in the office of the Dean of Student Life there my first year. Now he's a retired professional in Hawaii, so it's really neat to touch base with him again. But started working and worked 1 or 2 jobs, as well as took advantage of scholarships and programs that are there to help the low-income students achieve in higher education. And what becomes really challenging are for the students who don't qualify for financial aid and are kind of in the middle. Their parents don't make enough to afford a college education, and they make too much to get financial aid or the services from the federal government or even state programs. And my advice to them is to keep working hard, to find a position to supplement their income and to study. College is hard. It's hard work. You got to put forward the time, the effort, and pay the piper to make sure that you're able to achieve your education. But through that hard work, it also comes success, and you learn more about yourself. And I think, athletics definitely helped me frame that state of mind, but also my family. In my family, although 3 generations here in the U.S., I'm the first, and my brothers and sisters are the first to earn a college degree. And it's that hard work and the sacrifice that my grandparents instilled in my parents, and my parents instilled in us, in that you got to work hard if you want to be successful here. And no matter what you choose, try to be the best at it and work hard at your craft and continue to work hard. And that's one of my values as a leader. Share with my staff that we want to work 110%. Definitely we want to have balance in our lives, but we want to work hard to make sure that every Falcon has the opportunity to walk across that stage at commencement.
So your bachelor's, master's, and doctorate are all in the same field, or?
Yes, sir. My bachelor's, master's, and my doctorate, my PhD, are all in city planning. However, at UC Berkeley, they didn't have a major in city planning. They only had a graduate program. So that means you could only get a master's at Berkeley in city planning. So for me, after that professor talked to me in the seminar, I was like, hey, wow, I really want to do city planning. This is something I want to pursue. And when I went to the department and found out they didn't have a bachelor's program, I was kind of disappointed. I was like, oh, wow, now I can't major in that. What do I do? But guess what? At UC Berkeley, they had create your own major. It was called interdisciplinary studies. So I had to meet with the dean and then find a faculty member to develop a major. It had to be approved, go through all the process, develop your prereqs and your recs and all of that stuff, and make sure you're successful in your classes. And to be honest, when I first started at Berkeley, my GPA wasn't all that high. It wasn't until I found what I really liked to do in city planning that I had a competitive GPA, and definitely took the classes in city planning where my GPA really went up. So don't be discouraged if your GPA out there isn't where you want it to be. Continue to work hard. Find what you like. Find a passion. And I know there's a lot of people that tell you the quote or the saying, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. It's really true. I love what I do here at Cerritos College. I love working with students, and I feel what I do is meaningful and helpful for students. So for me, back to the question about your major at UC Berkeley. So I worked with the campus to develop a major, and I crafted it towards policy planning and economic development. And that helped launch me to graduate school at MIT. For those who don't know, that's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And as students, we used to joke about that. We used to say it was a Mexican in trouble, but that's for a story for another time. But at MIT, I studied city planning, and my emphasis was housing, community, and economic development. From there, it was really cold in Boston. I love the Boston area, great sports town, but got to see some really good baseball there at Fenway Park. But I wanted to come back to Southern California, be closer to my family, and got my PhD at UCLA. And guess what? I hooked up with that professor who went during my freshman year at Berkeley, who was talking about the Aztec calendar and city planning. He served as the chair of my dissertation committee and my advisor for my PhD at UCLA. So you never know, when you meet someone, what role, what professional capacity you'll continue to work with them later in life.
Now, for those that aren't aware, of the process of getting a PhD and the term dissertation, what does that mean?
Well, your dissertation is your research. You have to contribute original thought to the field. And usually people who earn a PhD either pursue a faculty position at a university or go out and do some sort of research either through the nonprofit sector or the government sector or, work for themselves. With my PhD, I was able to do some consulting, locally. And it's something that, really helps propel you in scholarship. So for me, the dissertation is your contribution to original thought. And the research question I pursued was studying Norwalk. I wanted to look at my local community and look at the impact gang suppression policies have had on public safety, and in particular, the importance of creating safe learning environments. So over the 1990s and 2000s, the city of Norwalk implemented a lot of gang suppression strategies, and gang crime and gang involvement in Norwalk has gone down tremendously. Homicides, are no longer something people are talking about related to gangs in Norwalk, at least to the extent as they were in the 1990s. And the public safety department there did a fantastic job, and the city council really prioritized, making Norwalk a safe city. Not to say it doesn't have its tough neighborhoods still, because, every community does. But the gang suppression efforts that they implemented did result in lower crime statistics. However, what also happened is youth didn't necessarily feel that Norwalk was a safe community. There was perceptions of safety that they felt Norwalk was unsafe. So I did a study working with all of the middle schools and high schools in Norwalk and surveying the students to get their perceptions of safety of their schools and their communities. And through my research, I worked to try to find solutions to have students feel more safe, and what city programs and services could be implemented, not only to create a safe community, but also to foster, educational outcomes for students. And one of the challenges in public education, at least, in the 1990s and moving forward, is our schools. The educational goals were becoming less valued than the educational outcomes. So, in other words, we were trying to ensure safe campuses by, more tough crime policies, and not necessarily emphasizing, better educational outcomes for students. So, one of the things that emerged was we need to do both. People need a safe place to study, a safe place to learn, and safety is defined on so many different levels. But also, law enforcement priorities shouldn't take precedence over educational outcomes. We need to educate our students. And right now in community college, that's one of our challenges. Students, over 90% of students coming to Cerritos College are testing into below college levels of math and English. And that's not pointing the finger at anyone. It's just the reality of community college education at this time in California and in the nation. It's something we all need to be mindful of. We need to partner with the K-12 schools. We need to partner with the elementary schools, believe it or not. We need to get out in the kindergarten and let them know college is a reality for them. We need to partner with the middle schools, and everybody needs to stop pointing the finger down. We can't point the finger at the high schools. They can't point the finger at the middle schools. Middle schools can't point the finger at the elementary schools. And schools can't point the finger at parents. It's just the reality of what's happening. We got to get away from the blame game and all work towards solutions so that we can get our community, our residents, our youth, our future educated and into jobs that are productive and meaningful and give more people an access to the American dream.
No, one of the issues that take place usually in the K-12 system is bullying. I know that my little sister, she had to go through it a lot. It got to the point that right now she's in online schooling, homeschooling right now, the K-12 online program. What do you think could be done? Did you face any bullying in the K-12 system before?
Well, I think you bring up a very important topic, because bullying has so many different dimensions to it, like cyberbullying, physical bullying, and, in the past, solutions have been put forward to either avoid it, through homeschooling or, to confront it through, different policies and changes in enforcement. To social programming and activities and awareness campaigns about the seriousness of bullying. The reality is our society is impacted by bullying. It's something that we need to take seriously and work to improve. And I know in Norwalk, through the city, through the early 2000s, they implemented a school-based partnership that prioritized conflict resolution and student mediation for middle schoolers, and even trying to go down into the elementary schools. By the time they got to high school, people were already set in their ways, kind of, in how they deal with conflict, and it was kind of difficult to implement mediation. Either it wasn't cool, or it's not the fun thing to do. So discipline seemed to be the approach to dealing with bullying. That's just speaking generally, but it's something that we really need to look at more closely, and there are steps that we need to take to improve awareness around bullying. It's a reality of schools. I mean, it's been around since the beginning of time, but the consequences in today's society are a lot more severe than it seems they were in the past. I mean, there are examples of that across the nation. It's something we need to prioritize and teach people about steps they can take to prevent bullying. And one of the things that really resonated me in my preparation as an administrator in community college is, if you see something, say something. If you see bullying, we need to teach kids, we need to teach adults, we need to teach professionals, we need to teach everyone. When you see something, speak up, say something, and let the people who have been trained to deal with this intervene to put a stop to it quickly. Because the other thing we have to implement is a no-tolerance stance towards bullying. If someone's being bullied, we need to intervene right away and let them know that that's not appropriate and that's not the society we want to live in.
Excellent.
I'm talking a ton today, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, for the most part, this show is a talk show.
Oh,
I know that
last time we had a bunch of music, we're bumping the beat.
I know, but it's just that, like most of the students, like we all try to be unique when we're doing our on-air shows, and we want to be separate from each other. So, like other shows, they'll try to focus on maybe having a specialty on a particular type of genre of music, or for talk, sometimes they have a specialty. Like we already have like a couple of people that do sports. We got one person that also does classical music, like especially dedicated to Frank Sinatra and some other classics.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. So mine's, I try to focus on like interviewing leaders and community figures as well.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Let me know when you want to get like someone from outside here. Are you going to be around next year?
Yeah, I
want to get like local principals or superintendents?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because I know that I'd
can
really
get 'em
like
here.
to. Yeah. Because this show, I mean, the more people we could get, especially here at the station, to, talk about, the organizations and so forth, it'd be great. That's kind of the specialty now that I, aim towards here at the station, is trying to have the show that's gives the opportunity each time to, or organizations or leaders, or they're just trying to get their cause aware. I thought it'd be pretty cool to have also like a guest also come here to chat with you as well. At this time, I'd like my guest to please introduce himself, and you can hear it with the headphones.
Put these on?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Genesys. I was here on.
Is this thing on?
Is it?
Good, I can hear now.
Just anything? Do you have a question for our dean?
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Oh,
Hi,
I'm Genesis.
Genesis.
Okay, so I'm not super involved in school, so I'm not exactly sure what you're, I mean, I know you're the dean, but I don't know what exactly you do. Like your job.
Certainly. So, I'm going to take these off really quick so I can hear. I can't hear myself with the headphones on. So your question is, as Dean of Student Services, what exactly do I do? And that's a great question because, what I learned at our Student Services Management meeting yesterday, there was a few other deans that have very similar titles, like a Dean of Student Support Services, a Dean of Student Success, a Dean of X, Y, and Z. So in my area as Dean of Student Services, I have a few areas under my supervision or under my area of responsibility. So as Dean of Student Services here at Cerritos College, I have student activities, which is a wonderful place to be involved in student government, to get involved in student life. I also have school relations, which does a lot of our outreach and work with the local K-12 community. And I have student discipline, which is something that is coordinated through the Office of Judicial Affairs. I also do the auxiliary services, real fancy name for the vending services, the food vendors, the local food eateries in our student center and area. I oversee the student center, oversee the game room, and I oversee the bookstore. So as the Dean of Student Services, my charge is to really provide student life activities that help result in more students being successful. So those 5 areas I know are defined by my job description, but all the deans here, we all work collectively with our areas of specialization to make sure that students are successful, to help students be successful in their academics, in their student life, and that they have safe learning environments. And we work alongside with the wonderful faculty here, the wonderful student leaders here, the very dedicated administrators at the VP level and above, and all of our colleagues, and the hardworking classified staff members that deliver the mission and vision on a daily basis of Cerritos College. So as a dean, you're kind of exposed to everything. I know that's a real general answer, and it kind of involves the aspects of my job description, but we're really paid to provide leadership. The deans and the management were entrusted by the public to provide leadership, to deliver the mission and vision of Cerritos College, that the Board of Trustees works with Dr. Lacey to implement a vision for Cerritos College and a plan to achieve that. So for example, last Friday we had a strategic planning retreat where we outlined our goals over the next year and the next few years, and actually I used the wrong word, we outlined our objectives. Our goals are in our 7 circles. And we outlined our objectives and how we're going to deliver success for students. And for me, it's a wonderful opportunity to work at Cerritos College, to work alongside with outstanding student leaders, and to be involved in higher education. Well, it's been busy. I started at a wonderful time. There was so much activity on campus with the Spring Festival, the Global Village, the student elections, passing the student budget, a few discipline issues to deal with, upcoming contracts with different vendors. And over the summer, there's going to be a transition in what vendors are going to be in the student center. We're going to have a few new companies coming in, Fresh and Natural, and Culinary Arts will have a little spot in there. And we're working on getting a cart, a coffee bean, perhaps, a coffee bean and tea leaf coffee cart out there. And we're looking to provide students with more alternatives. And at the same time, we're looking to provide, environmentally friendly options for students on campus. All right, your treat next time. Can I ask a question of you? You said you're not that involved in Cerritos College and student life. Why is that?
Next semester, I'm going to be a treasurer for the college club.
Excellent. Well, Cerritos has a wonderful, wonderful student life, student government activity. Excellent. Do you have any recommendations how we can get more students involved? I know one of our challenges is at Cerritos over 70% of our students are part-time students, but we do have a lot of activities that are very educational. They promote diversity, they promote fun, they promote awareness. There's so much campus life here at Cerritos College. Do you have any recommendations how we can get more students to take advantage of these wonderful resources? All right, thank you.
So I know that when I first joined, when I first stepped into the activities office, it was always a mystery to me because I guess that position had been vacated for a while. I know there's your office, then there's AJ's, but then there's this third one who we never knew. Like, your position is like combined with whoever is supposed to was in that third office, or?
Yeah, the third office, it was the coordinator for judicial affairs, and right now the judicial affairs is being handled through my position as the dean of student services. I think the long-term plan is to figure out how we're going to reorganize or organize that area. So my experience over the last 6 weeks is trying to determine what's a manageable caseload for that area. It doesn't seem to be enough work for a full-time position. There is not that much discipline coming through, but there really needs to be an improvement from my area in communicating with faculty and staff, how to deal with these issues when they emerge. What is the process? I need to get out there over the summer and early next fall and teach the campus about what resources are available to them when incidents do happen and what is the proper procedure. So right now it's a lot of analyzing and dealing with issues as they emerge, and then putting forward a recommendation on how we can staff that area moving forward. So to answer your question about the office itself, right now it's an empty office with a ton of files that go back many years for students that have had discipline cases here, and we're going to be working over the summer and over the short term to figure out the best way and make a recommendation on how to deliver those services in the future.
Cool. Now I know that you mentioned that you've been part of clubs, and Dr. Gilbert, I was wondering, were you part of any clubs or student government at school?
Absolutely. All the way through my education, I can remember back to elementary school being part of clubs and getting involved in school activities and extracurricular activities. But in particular, in college, I think it's so important to experience campus life. It's so important to become involved in what's going on in your school and to contribute to the direction of the school. So for me, as an undergrad, I was involved in a number of clubs. I even started a football league, through the dorms. I started don't tell the dean, who's retired now. I started a tackle football league because I was very interested in playing. And we even allowed some of the Division I NCAA athletes to play, but they had to admit that they were weak so that they wouldn't, beat us up to that. I started a football league. I joined a club to raise awareness about housing and dining services. I joined a youth mentorship club for the local community. I was always involved in different clubs, in high school and especially in college. And it's through those experiences outside of class that you really create and make friendships that provide meaning to your education. Learning doesn't only happen in the classroom. A lot of it does, most of your education does happen in the classroom, and you need those skills to be successful in your craft. But a lot of the learning, a lot of the leadership, a lot of the interpersonal skills, a lot of the soft skills that companies are looking for happen through those activities with clubs. They happen when you're, planning an activity, you're working with a faculty member, you're working with a staff member, you're participating in student government, you're proposing legislation, you're questioning rules, you're contributing to the decision making of the campus. Clubs are an important part of that because you meet people who have similar interests and you deliver on the goals of both the club and of the school. So for me, one of the clubs I'm most proud of during my time at UC Berkeley was a club called Sueños. And it was one that my sister started. She went to Cal 2 years before me, so I was able to join her. She was a junior, I was a freshman. And that was a club for RAs and hall coordinators involved in housing and dining. And we really focused on providing multicultural education and awareness programming for residents living in the dorms. We wanted them to be exposed to, some culture, particularly, Latino events that were important to students. And we hosted events for Dia de los Muertos. We hosted events for 16 of September. We hosted Cinco de Mayo events. But we hosted very timely issues that were important to the community, such as, I'm dating myself again, such as Prop 209, Prop 187, and the different legislations that society was rethinking, issues like affirmative action, issues like undocumented immigration. And we wanted students to have a voice on these issues, and it was through the clubs that we were able to work with faculty and work with people in the community to help shed light on these issues. And if there's one thing I can say about clubs, what's important is you provide leadership. Everyone has told you your whole lives that, students are our future, youth are your future. They start singing the song, I believe the children are the future. But that's not true anymore. You're our right now. We need your leadership now. The time is now. You are the leaders right now. This country, this nation, particularly in education, we need leadership. And students have played throughout history an important role in providing leadership. And it's time for you to step up and play that role here at Cerritos College and be involved. Get involved through clubs, through student government, through your classrooms, be informed. Know what's going on in Cerritos College. Over the next 5 years or so, there's going to be a lot of construction around here. The taxpayers, the local community support Cerritos College. They put forward a huge bond to fund improvements because we believe in education. Our community believes in what we're doing at Cerritos College. So it's important for you to take responsibility, do well in your classes, get involved and be part of that, emphasis and support for education that's happening right now at Cerritos College.
You mentioned.
Oh, I don't have my headphones on. One moment, please.
You mentioned that one of your clubs worked on Day of the Dead, and the anthropology club that in most semesters celebrates Day of the Dead and becomes an event. And we don't just give out information for Dia de los Muertos. We also do other countries like Japan, what tips would you give me giving out that information to other students?
Outstanding. So you said that was Anthropology Club? Well, I think the tips are, and through my experience working with students is word of mouth is still very powerful. Getting momentum behind events is extremely important, and momentum from your club. So I don't want to give you the generic answer of, word of mouth, get out there and spread the word, but it really is the people connections that you make, getting people to buy into what you're selling, and what you're selling is awareness and engagement and success for students. So the more people you can get involved who believe in that mission, who believe in what you're doing, spread the word and be positive out there. Have energy when you're promoting your activities, and spread the positives about your activities. And for me as a student, I remember what drew me to activities was food. Why lie? You have to have an event that has food and people show up. One of the things I've said jokingly in my area is I want to buy a huge barbecuer over there for student activities, so you could have out there once a month or every so often, barbecue with the dean, and have an open forum where I could hear from students, what issues are more important. But behind all of that is making events fun. If it's not fun and you're not truly enjoying what we're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it. And fun, is not only, the social aspects of it, it's also the awareness and the teaching and the educational components of programming and events. So make them fun, but also make them entertaining and make them educational, so that people leave with something. They're not just leaving, well, I got some food. They're leaving with, I learned about the importance of paying respect and honoring the people who have come before us. Or I've learned about the importance of, paying respect to the people who have charted the way for us. Have takeaways from the events. Have outcomes for what you're doing. And the best way to sell programs is through the people who are planning it. And I always relate that to weddings. I know it's kind of a strange thing, right? But if you go to a wedding and the wedding party is having a great time, usually, everyone else is going to get out there and have a great time, hit the dance floor and have the music going and enjoying themselves. If the wedding party is just sitting there and twiddling their thumbs or, being wallflowers, usually the wedding doesn't get too active unless you have a crazy Thea or, an intense Thea or Thea who likes to get out there and dance and do their thing. Well, for us, it was pretty detailed in the fact that we were providing programming for the dorms. So what we would do is have one main reception or event in the res halls. We'd pick one of the dorms that would host a reception, and then in that big building we would have altars that people created that you would pay homage to, and some of them were for loved ones and family members, and some of them were for issues or things that we were trying to teach about. Where I see some events falling short is we try to, over-educate people or provide too much information. If you have a simple message that, people can take away one or two things, I think that's important. So we had a reception, we had food, and we had altars, and then we had someone come in and speak about current issues that we were working on as a club, and how we can make the connection between the Dia de los Muertos and what was important to students at the time. So that was yesterday's strategy. That was something we did back in the 1990s. It was something that was meaningful for us. I think that the challenge is to find something for your club, Anthropology Club, that's meaningful for you, that conveys the message that you want to deliver and you want to get out there. So work with your club members, work with your advisor to develop a strategy that helps not only educate people about the event you're doing, particularly here you're saying Dia de los Muertos, but also that connects people. And one of the things that I'm trying to share with my staff and some of the student leadership there in student activities is tradition is very important. It's very powerful, and it's something that we need to pay respect to and try to continue to advance. And from what I see in student activities, we have a tradition of excellence. We have a tradition or a legacy of quality. But one of the things that I have conversations with my staff about is we don't necessarily have to do all the activities or events that we've done in the past just because we've done them. You know, one of the things that we should do, especially in student leadership, is to really evaluate and prioritize what we want to accomplish. So for your club, just because you've always done a Dia los Muertos event, maybe that's not what you want to do moving forward. But if it is, it's something that you have to reinvigorate and motivate your team around to deliver in a way that is meaningful for you and for the people who are going to participate. But I guess my point is, just because you've always done something doesn't mean you have to continue to do it. But at the same time, if it's important to your club and to the mission of what you're trying to accomplish, you all need to get behind it and pull together to deliver it at the highest level possible.
Okay, we'll be right back after these public service announcements.
Wednesday afternoons at 2 Pacific on WPMD on the net. It's swinging.
This is a lot of talking
with
today.
the world.
Is it almost over?
Yeah, it ends at 55.
Oh, I have 3 more minutes.
Yeah.
Swinging with the world with Peggy Sue.
Same with the world, parents, 40s and 50s music. We do everything from the Warriors, and that's what I like.
Big bands, saloon singers, classic vocal groups.
It makes me want to jump and jive, and I want to give that gift that I have to the people who are listening.
Swinging with the world. 2 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday on WPMD on the net, where people make a difference.
Because it's my show. It's amazing.
Just because your campfire looks out doesn't mean that it's out. So before leaving, follow these simple steps. Drown your embers with water or dirt. Stir them. Drown them again. Then check the back with your hand if they are cold. By following these simple steps, you can prevent wildfire. For more information, visit smokybear.com. And remember, only you can prevent forest fires. This is a public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, the Ad Council, and WPMD.org, where people make a difference.
We've been married a year.
Yep, been in business together for 2 months.
Oh, it's a big move for us, starting a business and everything.
And for our future 9 children.
Oh, our future 2 children.
Well, there are lots of worries of starting a business, but creating an emergency preparedness plan shouldn't be one of them.
Yeah, we needed a plan in case of fire, flood, or cyber attack.
beginning.
And how will we get the business back up and running?
Because without the business, we could never afford baseball mitts for the 9 kids.
At the beginning?
We went to ready.gov and downloaded everything we needed to create a plan. And ready.gov has free templates, checklists, and more.
Yeah, without ready.gov, I could easily get old before my time. The furrowed brow, nervous twitch.
But because of ready.gov, we have one less thing to worry about.
Droopy shoulders.
Oh, stop it.
Go to ready.gov for details on creating an emergency preparedness plan. Ready.gov. Becoming a success is hard work. Protecting it isn't. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Ad Council, and this station.
And welcome back to the Falcon Spotlight. We are reaching the conclusion of the show. However, I think one of the unique things about the activities office, in 2 summers ago, I took a class for journalism, and the advisor actually had us do a blog, and this blog was supposed to be dedicated. He wanted us to tailor it to our major, but he told me I was too close to radio and that it would be, he noticed that I was interested in activities and clubs and so forth, and that I'd be interested in doing a research, digging deep into the history of the school. And it was very interesting because I actually noticed there's these plaques that are in the activities office, and it actually, when you were talking about legacy, I thought it was amazing that we have an archive. These plaques from the late 50s to 1995 they used to add the names of the clubs that were established each time. I think it would be pretty awesome if we could do something like that again, or maybe we have like some way to like kind of immortalize, I guess, the history, like something that visible that students can see, because basically and the plaques, like, that's all they can see is just up until 1995, but it would totally make us look more awesome as well, especially for people that want to start a club again and they don't know what other ones have existed after that. But,
well, I agree. One of the things that we're going to work on over the summer and into the next year is giving the student activities area makeover. We're looking at how to add paint in there, how to have profiles of our student leaders, how to do it in a fun and exciting way, bringing color and artistic creativity to the area that includes some of the tradition that is unique to Cerritos College. Beyond the Man of the Year, the Club of the Year, sharing those traditions and having a visible, aesthetically pleasing area is important. And we hope to get some paint in there, some fresh indicators of who we are, and to be able to display that in the physical design and layout and how it looks in that area.
Excellent. Have any closing statement?
No, I just want to thank you for having me on here. I think it's a wonderful job you're doing here at WPMD. Participating in the Spring Activities Awards ceremony last Friday. Congratulations to you, your colleagues, and the faculty for an outstanding year and winning those awards and being nominated nationally. We hope to bring back one of those titles, so we're going to continue to, I know the ASCC supported in their budget, funding for WPMD next year. Some other exciting things coming out of their budget, we're looking at having Cerritos College student IDs also serve as bus passes, so there'll be more information coming out about that next year. We're also looking to, focus on the iFalcon a little bit and the link up. There's going to be a student engagement fund available for students and faculty and staff to figure out how we can better link up students to some of the resources here that are here at Cerritos College. Many more wonderful details in the ASCC budget. Thank you to Alejandra and the budget committee and everyone who worked hard on that, especially my staff. And I couldn't be more optimistic about coming back, working hard over the summer, and coming back next year for a wonderful year of student activities and student services here at Cerritos College. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Genesys for the guest speaker, surprise guest speaker. And I look forward to the next time I'm here on WPMD on your talk show.
Thank you very much. Any statement?
Well, that's good. Help us spread the word, especially if you wouldn't approach me, spread the word. Dean of Student Services, come by and say hi. We want to represent the needs of the students. As far as our area, the more students can share about what's going on, we're going to have some pretty creative, innovative ways to promote and publicize what we're doing and developing a brand over there. And hopefully, students can spread the word and it gets out there and goes viral, that everyone knows about what Student Services is about, particularly student activities, because that is a hard-working staff we have over there, a wonderful group of people working tirelessly for students so that Cerritos College has the best student life in the state of California.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you all for your time, for being here on the Falcon Spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the show. Remember to like my fan page. Look up Cerritos College Falcon Spotlight. on Facebook. You can also look up Rob Flores on YouTube, and you will find some Falcon Spotlight episodes soon. Now that the semester's winding down, shows that will soon be posted. And tune in next to Deaf Man's Music.
Alright, Rob, I gotta run.
Alright.
Thanks, sorry I was late.
Thank you very
Good
much.
job. Hopefully I didn't talk your ear off.